Welcome to the Gracewriters podcast, Christian writers changing popular culture. Find us on your favourite podcast player and at gracewriters.com. Today on the podcast, problem solving our email lists. I'm Belinda Pollard. I'm an author, editor and writing coach with a theology degree and 20 years in the publishing industry. Find links to my blogs, books and courses at belindapollard.com.
Hi, I'm Alison Young. I'm a romance writer under the name Alison Joy. I live in Brisbane. I have 4 adult children and I was an early childhood educator. You can find all my information on alisonjoywriter.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Danita Bundy, and for the past 20 years I've been using my theology degree to inform my teaching and preaching, and more recently my writing. You can find out more about me at danitabundy.com.
Our topic today, the next in our author platform series and the second in our email list series, where we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a go at problem solving our email lists, with the goal that you can watch on while we wrestle with these issues and hopefully gather and adapt some ideas that can benefit you in your struggle to create a useful email list for your own writing career. Alison, would you like to be guinea pig number 1? What is your current setup with your email list and how would you like it to be different?
Okay, well, I have only just started because I'm a newbie writer and I'm only doing an email list because someone told me I had to, and that needs to be part of your author platform. So I'm only just starting out. I have signed up to MailerLite. I have their free level at the moment. So as far as I have what they call an onboarding sequence set up, which is when somebody signs up to your email, they get some automated emails to welcome them as they're joining or they're coming on board your journey as a writer, I guess is the best way to have it. So I've done that. It's a bit of a learning curve. I finally got there and I've set up a pop-up on my website. Now I have to actually get people to sign up to it. So that's where I'm at. I've got to figure out how to do that. Now, I understand from what I've read that I should have a reader magnet. So I know there's differing opinions about what is one even necessary or what you should have as one. The most common one I've read is either a free book, which I don't have at the moment because I've only just started out in my my writing journey, or a short story or a novella, which sounds good, but you need time to do that, and that takes away from your writing time. So it's just finding something for a reader magnet. Now, a reader magnet is something that you give someone as an incentive so they will, when they it gives them an incentive to hand over their email. So it's a reward, if you like, or incentive for parting with their email. So I need to A, figure out if I'm going to have a reader magnet, and B, get people signing up.
It is tricky, isn't it? But may I say, first of all, congratulations on actually getting that far, because that is massive. It's not that easy. I remember when I was first muddling around and trying to set up my very first subscriber box where people enter their email and their name and work through the whole thing, and it took a long time and it was a big learning curve. So well done. You've made it that far. And now the challenge is how to get people that next step. What are you putting in the back of your books at the moment? Are you doing an invitation to people to sign up to learn about the next book?
Well, the first one I don't think I did because I didn't have anything. I didn't know I had to at that stage. The second one, that's nearly ready to go out. Yes, I can have a sign up in the back for my newsletter website and newsletter there. I also read, I've also seen that you should have it basically everywhere. Everywhere you are, you should have a link, 100 minutes, and you sign up for your newsletter. So it's on my Facebook, like in Facebook information and on my social media. I did see somewhere, I did do a online seminar just recently, and one of the things that they said, the lady said that she does is she actually puts Facebook posts up about her newsletter and the what they call a hyperlink, or the link to the newsletter in that post. So I think that's something that I should get onto. And actually, and she said she puts it, puts it up regularly. So that's something, because I have an author Facebook page, but I could even put it on my personal one for people who know that I write, that might be interested in signing up, and then that would be another way. But it's just, I think it's probably something that everybody starting out experiences, go, well, okay, I know I need an email list, but where do I get all these emails from? Like, how do I get them?
Are you blogging, Alison?
A little bit.
Okay. Because when you talk about giving away the free books and the free novellas and the whatever, I personally, I kind of struggle with that, because I know that wherever you go, if you've got books, people are kind of saying, well, bring some free books to give away. And I can understand that there's value in that, but it's also, as a, you know, an independent author who's self-publishing, the costs are quite high, and the income is quite low. And so I just think there are other things that possibly we could be doing for reader magnets or to give away, other than the work that's involved and the time, like you said, to create these things. And I was just thinking, blogging is something, it still takes time to do it well, but not nearly as long to be giving that away. And it still gives people a taste of your voice. So if you've got a blog, even if it's not regular, you know, like if you have a blog, and it enables people to get to know your voice, and if they like your voice, well, then they've already had a taster, and then they might be, well, I like the way she writes, I like the way she sounds and what she talks about, I might invest in the book. So that might be a way of less of time in the big project of the giveaway. And yeah, the same deal, like when you post it on the social media, it has a link back to your website. So that might be something to consider. That's easier to do, less time, and it's still free. It's a magnet still to get people to come and visit your website.
I think I've read the danger in giving out a book is that people just sign up for your book and that's it. They don't actually want anything to do with you. They just want a free book. So that's also I
know there's been quite a movement over the last, say, 3 or 4, or maybe even, probably 3 or 4 years, of people giving away, advertising a free giveaway book. They do it through Facebook advertising, etc. They build up quite large lists quite quickly by giving away this free book. And then the idea is that they hope to get sell through to the other books in their series. I actually know some writers who've done that and discovered that they end up with quite a lot of subscribers who just want free things. And I know one who's actually gone through and cleaned out her list of all of those and is not doing those types of promotions anymore because of what that writer felt happened to her list with it. Yeah, and I'm with you, Alison. I write fiction and I don't write it massively fast, and so I don't have free books to give away either. And I'm just wondering who you're ending up with, because I know I've got plenty of free books on my Kindle that I've never read. Whereas the one that I go and commit to and pay for is the one that I'm more likely to think, oh, yes, I'll read that book. It's a really interesting psychology, isn't it? And I think there might have been a little bit of a saturation in the market for that giving away the free books thing. Maybe it worked really well for the first cohort of writers that did it. And I just wonder if it's falling off a bit now. So I wonder, a couple of things I wonder about. You're a photographer, and I wonder if you might be able to do something with your photography which can also help you with your blogging if you do decide you want to do some blogging.
Yeah, well, I did put together some screensavers and for like laptops and phones and stuff, but then how do you actually get them to people? How do you actually say, they're there, I've designed them, but I don't know. Everyone says BookFunnel, but I can't see on BookFunnel that there's an option for something other than a book.
Well, you can give a PDF on BookFunnel. BookFunnel, for the listeners, is a platform that you can sign up to for as little as $20 US a year, and it will deliver things for you to people so that you can share the BookFunnel link, and then you don't have to mess with trying to deliver certain things to certain people. It can be fully automated, and they also manage the tech problems if the person can't download it, which is...
You can also just quickly, sorry to interrupt, I'm just quickly checking the name of mine. There's also an add-on. It's called Photography Management. I've got a WordPress site, and that's a free add-on, and you can create a gallery on there, and then you could say to people who come onto your website, they get a password if they sign up to your email, and that password enables them to download the images. So that photo management creates galleries for clients, because I've done photography work for clients for websites and things like that. I create a gallery of their work. I give them the password, they go in there, and then they can download those photographs. So that's another way, just it's a photographic thing. So there are several ways that you could do that, but there are apps out there that would enable that. But even still, having a gallery on your website, that's just, I have one that I change and update monthly. So it's a bit of a draw if people are interested and they like my photographs on social media. I put the best on social media, but I put the rest of the month on the galleries in my website. So that's something else, that just to have people come and look around, spend time in your website.
Yeah.
And if you're refreshing that semi-regularly, they know that, oh, I've been there, I've already seen them. Whereas if you're updating that, it takes a bit of work, but it's also creating content that people might be interested in just checking out.
Yeah,
you also need to you need to have a sign-up form on your website, and then as you describe where you have the place for the sign-up form, you say, download my free screensaver or whatever. And I know that you've your books, Alison, are based on travel, places you've been. And I think that could be quite an interesting thing to think about too. Could you maybe write a story about the place that you've been to write the book? It's interesting because if people are reading it because they're interested, I know you had one set on the Great Ocean Road in Victoria, Australia, and could you write a little story about what you did there and have that as a... it's tricky and it's hard to know. It's trial and error.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing, hey?
I was actually just reading this morning a blog post. It came through Jane Friedman's regular email that I get from her, and she had a post on there from Ricardo Fayette about the importance of finding your marketing sweet spot. So that's on the Jane Friedman website, and he talks about taking years. I know it's really discouraging, but still, there are so many things that they tell us to do to like splatter out your information everywhere, and yet realistically there's only going to be a couple of things that suit you and your voice, and most importantly things that you enjoy doing. And I think that is the key. Find things that you enjoy doing, because then it's not a chore or a task, because you'll be doing it regularly. And finding experimenting with one thing for a while and seeing what the response is, and then allow that to evolve into something else or try something else. But it's not a matter of doing everything at once. But I think the essence of what Ricardo Fayette was saying on his post was that we're all different. finding the things that suit us. And I would have to agree that honing those things that you use on your website to reflect your brand is really important, because that's more of that connecting and being creating that community around like-mindedness, because this is who I am, this is what I'm into, this is what I enjoy doing. I'm sharing that with you. Come on board for the journey if you like that stuff too. So trial and error, and just picking one or two things at a time rather than trying to do everything. But definitely photography, and travel writing. That first book, the scenery around the Great Ocean Road that you wrote in that first book was beautiful. And gosh, it could have been used for Tourism Victoria. It's like, oh gosh, I really must get down there. So even if you had it whilst you're researching, even if you did a blog on what you're discovering and the places to go, you know, tying in that travel and the research would be something that would be, I think would be fascinating, really interesting. With your photography, if you were to do a talk about it, photograph it, and then put that in some kind of like Belinda said, a story, or a just, this is my research, sharing my research. That
and
might
maybe
be
that's enough. Like maybe you don't need a subscriber magnet. Maybe your subscriber magnet is your website. You know what I mean? Like, rather than having to have a free download, which can be quite difficult to work out for fiction, can't it? If you don't
complicated.
I mean, there's always stuff like deleted scenes or
I tried that, and
endings.
nobody, you know, I mean, crickets really when I tried the deleted scenes. But it might work for you. It's worth a try.
I think that possibly, from my interacting with the writerly and world and being a reader, I find that is more successful once a book has become, you know, if a book takes off and it's huge and it has a readership, people are hungry for everything they can find about that. I mean, you only have to look at the Harry Potter series and all the offshoots, because people just can't get enough. It's when our books reach that level, say when, not Harry Potter, but, you know, like when they're very well known,
we'll get there,
and they're consuming it, that's when you have, I think, the deleted scenes, because that you've created already, there's this magnificent interest and people are hungry. But before it reaches that point of popularity, it might be
probably not really going to work. Good tip, Danita, good tip. The other thing, Alison, is you had a book launch, and I know that because I went to it, and you could have passed around a clipboard and said, if you would like to receive emails. And I know that's tricky. I know, gentle reader, that this is difficult at the moment in the time of coronavirus, and Alison launched her book before coronavirus, but she didn't launch coronavirus, just in case that was unclear. But it is more difficult now. But some of these manual ways of getting emails, and even just things like asking our family if they'd like to be on it. We tend to despise that, or I do anyway. You sort of think, oh no, that's just family. That's not real. But they're real people, and they're probably more invested in you than a lot of other people, and can help you get that initial feeling of, yes, I'm getting some movement here. Something's happening. I have some subscribers. Tricky, isn't it? It's not easy. It's not easy. You read a few blog posts and they make it sound easy, and you think there is something wrong with me because it is not working for me. I don't think that's the case. I think that it is quite difficult, and we all need to be continually trial and error working out what to do. Danita, what's your situation? What's your current setup, and how would you like it to be different?
As I said last time, I have just started anew, and I'm in that process of, I think I'm finding,
and that's because your website was crashed.
My website crashed, and I lost my whole email list. I recreated my website. It took me months because I wanted it to reflect who I am and my brand, which is me. So like Alison, I've got the photography, I've got blogs, I teach writing, so I wanted to have something about that. I wanted it to share who I am as a person, what I think is important, and the heart of my my website is about journeying in the light, which is the Christian walk. And of course, my novels are based on that as well. So I set all this up and I started from scratch again. The same way when I started my website saying, I'm crashed, but I'm rebuilding. It's coming soon, sign up. And I had on the coming soon page on the website, I had a one page. If you went to danitabundy.com, it was a coming soon. Click here for the email list when we're live. So I got a couple of people through that. And then I do that, what your tutor was saying, Alison, I send out, whenever I send my blog out, I post that with a link back to the website. So everything comes back to the website. All my posts are connected back there. So then what I do is every month when I send out my newsletter, I have links to, well, I have a bit about my personal story, what I've been doing, because I've got fingers in so many pies as most of us who are self-published people. I don't have one major full-time job. I've got about 5 or 6 small jobs. So I just give an update on what's happening in that area. And then I share my update on where the books are up to. So number 1 is out and published and there's a few sales coming through, and then I'll say where I'm up to for book 2, and I'll have a teaser of what the cover looks like. Then I'll have links to all the blogs from the month, and I'll have links to the podcast for the month. To start off with, I was going through this phase of cooking. I'm not really a cook. I cook because I have a family who likes to eat, and I tried to make nice, easy, healthy things. So I was going through this phase, and every month I was like, hey, I've just created this new recipe. It's great. And I put it on there and yada, yada. And after all, I'm thinking, why am I putting this in my newsletter? I'm trying to get people who are interested by reading recipes. I think that's not me. That's not me at all. So I post sometimes on Instagram. And so I thought, and I have my gallery. So I thought what I'll do is I'll get 4 or 5 top photographs from the month, which I think were like, yeah, this is the pick of the month. And they're on the bottom. And then I just say to people, look, if you want to see more photos, go to the gallery. It's been updated. If you missed any of the blogs or pods, if you're interested, these are the links. This is where the book is up to. This is what people are saying. And then generally what I've been doing in the world of teaching, writing, blogging, yada, yada, yada. And I'm finding that I'm with my newsletter, my goal is to be really genuine and honest. Like, I'm not perfect. I have ill health. I struggle. I've got family, therefore I have challenges. And so I try to be honest and not doom and gloom, but this is my reality for the last month, and welcome aboard. And so at this point in time, I'm finding that particular recipe, says the non-cook, is actually working, and all by itself. I don't know what else I'm doing differently, but I notice whenever I go to, because I'm with MailChimp, whenever I go to create a campaign, they call them, whether it's a blog or the newsletter, it's called a campaign. I go in there and I'll go, oh, I've got a new sign up this month. And so people who signed up not really knowing what they were getting into may drop off. Like, I've lost 2 or 3 people, but generally every month I've got 1 or 2 new people coming on board. So at the moment, for me, I think that recipe is really working, and I'm happy with it because it reflects who I am. And I find that it's sharing what's been happening on my website and in my life. And like we spoke about last time, it's about building community. So I wanted transparency and honesty. The thing I don't know how to fix is that I do it myself. When I'm busy, I'm not very good reading emails. I'll go through, and quite often, if I'm busy and my head's not right, there's a writer who I get their blogs and I really enjoy it, but I don't have time. I don't have the headspace. And so I guess the thing is, how do you get those emails out into interactions where people will come on board and actually interact. I have one lady who, it's like I've sent her a personal email and she will email me back, thanks, it's great to hear this, this and this is what's happening with me this month, and I'll get a personal email back from her. I have another lady who handwrites me a response every blog.
There is a tendency out there, because a lot of the people who are writing about how to set up an email list, they're kind of the big marketers and what have you, and they're showing you ways to get 100 new subscribers a day and all of this sort of stuff. And most of it is by tricking people into signing up fundamentally. But and you've got a much smaller growth going on there, but it's genuine. I have 3 websites and an email list attached to each. I have Gracewriters, which is Christian writers changing popular culture. Small Blue Dog, which is my writing, editing and publishing topics blog related to my business. And belindapollard.com, which is kind of my online hub. It directs the traffic to the various different places. My Gracewriters list is current and warm because we've been podcasting, because we're doing the monthly Zoom meetings. So it's current and warm. I would like it to grow, even just slowly, but it's warm. The other 2 are, the Small Blue Dog one is large and needs warming up because I have not been able to blog and post on it much. And my belindapollard.com one is small and needs warming up. So my mailing lists have suffered quite a bit of neglect over the years, and that's just because of limited time. Time. But I do have some plans and schemes in place for this year, to different ways to work on sending out a monthly email from the 2 lists that need warming up. And also I want to rethink how I invite subscribers at the back of my books. I've done some stuff where I had, like with my fiction, I had a sample chapter of the next book. I'm going to take that out, because I think what happens is people get to the end of a book and they want to just sit there with the characters. They don't necessarily, particularly because my characters run into trouble immediately. They've just been through, I write crime. They've just been through a world of trouble. And I think maybe the reader wants just to sit in the fact that they're now safe and they're together and not immediately launch into new trouble. So I can tell them that there is new trouble out there and they can come here and find out about it. But I really like what you're doing, Danita, where you're setting up a whole kind of ecosystem of who Danita is and all the things that she's involved in. And the thing is brand Danita, basically. And I'm really inspired by that. And I'm doing a lot of thinking about my own lists and how I'm going to manage them as a result. We're nearly out of time. How about I quickly pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you that email lists are not too hard for you. Sometimes forget that. Sometimes think you're quite old and maybe you don't understand technology, but that is lunacy because you understand everything. And we pray that you will give us encouragement, help us not to be crushed by other people saying things that are really unrealistic for us to strive for, and help us to know how to create our community through our email list. We commit it to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Alison Joy and Danita Bundy. I'm Belinda Pollard, and we will see you next time on the Gracewriters podcast. Continue the conversation in our free online forum. Please like and share the podcast to help other writers find us, and subscribe on your favourite podcast player. Read transcripts, join the forum and connect with us at gracewriters.com.